Welcome to the Ready Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Case Lane, and this is your podcast. If you are thinking it's time to take control of your future and have the lifestyle you really want by starting your own business. This is episode 30, the introduction to the Ready Entrepreneur Tour. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Are you dreaming of the lifestyle, the Hollywood version of it, lying on a beach, living in a mansion, rolling in cash? Is that the idea, you want to be doing exactly what you want to do whenever you want to do it, running your own schedule, answering only to yourself and being your own boss? And what does it really mean to have your own schedule? Does that mean you get to hang out with your friends all the time? Maybe spend time with your kids, participate in events that you don't normally get to do? And then what does it mean when you're doing everything that you really want to do with all the people that you're doing it with? Is that like now you're feeling happier? Are you really excited about life and you can enjoy life and you stop and you smell the roses? Is that what it means? Or are you one of those people who's just aching to get an idea into the marketplace because you see so much crap out there and you can do better with a product or a service that you've just been thinking about and really just want to deliver to people because it is absolutely something that they want or they need. So let's just take a step back here. Let's roll back the tape. What do you want out of becoming an entrepreneur? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? You want to drive a fancy car? You want to be happy? You want to deliver value into the global marketplace? Or is it some combination of all of the above? Everyone has an inner motivation to improve. That's the assumption of the late psychologist David McClellan, whose research is part of the foundational methodology for EMPRATEC, which is the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. That's their entrepreneurship division. So in other words, the United Nations apparatus, which is you, right? If you live in pretty much any country in the world, it's your tax dollars, your government dollars paying for the United Nations. So the United Nations apparatus has an entrepreneurship division called EMPRATEC, which is part of their UNCTAD, the UNCTAD. I know it's getting to be ridiculous. Here's the point. They came to the conclusion that entrepreneurship has to be supported everywhere in the world, regardless of the types of economies and so on, because entrepreneurs are the people who want to improve. And through their drive, everyone improves. We get progress, development, jobs, education, a future from the work of entrepreneurs. So if you are someone with business ideas in your head, or someone who has this concept of becoming an entrepreneur, you might not even know the reason why you are one of those people who are driven to improve. I mean, I've always wanted to have my own company for as long as I can remember. And I really didn't know what that meant in the sense of what's an entrepreneur. I didn't really have any fancy definitions for it. I just knew that's what I wanted. And so now I realize I am like you, one of tens of thousands of millions of people who want to make a living by running their own business. And there's a huge industry around this, right? A massive industry around the question, how do I become an entrepreneur? So if you look at a definition like the European Commission's definition, where they describe entrepreneurship as those of individuals who have the ability to turn ideas into action. So that's interesting, right? Because wouldn't everybody have that ability? Maybe not. But you're asking, well, I've got the ideas, so how do I turn my ideas into action and become an entrepreneur too? Turning ideas into action involves so many different things, like your creativity, innovation, risk-taking, the ability to plan and manage projects. That's all part of the EU guidelines as well. You want to do all that to achieve objectives. Now, for governments and multilateral organizations, the objective is create new companies, open new markets, get more jobs, nurture new skills, build up the economy. For you, that's the broader picture of what you're doing. But on a day-to-day basis, your objective is probably more like get my free time, be my own boss, deliver a product or service to the global marketplace that people need or want, and be rich and live in a mansion. Maybe something like that, right? So everyone recognizes supporting entrepreneurs is vital to an economy. There's all sorts of people out there who are ready and willing to improve, and there are people like you who have business ideas in your head. So the question is, how do you get started? Now, because I love to travel and strongly encourage all aspiring entrepreneurs to consider yourselves global from the very first day that you start your business, because I'm going to assume in some way, shape, or form you're going to use the internet. If you're using the internet, you're global. But we'll get back to that. This particular series of the Ready Entrepreneur podcast, the series within the series, is what I call the tour. So we're going on a 6-stop tour to help you get organized around your aspiration to become an entrepreneur. So on the tour, we're focusing on 6 crucial concepts: confidence, time, money, value, action, transition. Those are the only 6 words you need to remember to get started, to get stood up and ready to go as an entrepreneur. This is going to be a way for you to think about your goals, your objectives, and how you move forward. Now, some of you might only need like 3 of these 6 words or 5 of them. We're going to go through them all. You pick and choose what you need for you, because at the end of the day, the only question is, have you started your business? So if you check off all 6 boxes and say, I'm done, my question then will be, okay, what's your business? You want to line up your position on these 6 items. Where are you on your confidence, time, money, value, action, and transition to get started on starting a business? Okay? Ready Entrepreneur is about helping you get your mind set on where you stand on those 6 words. So there are 10 million and one ways to approach each one. There are lots of books, there are lots of movies, courses, lectures, ideas. And on Ready Entrepreneur, on our website, Ready Entrepreneur website, you'll find a whole bunch of specifics. Through this podcast, this episode and the next 6, I want you to get into your mind where you stand on those 6 words so that you are ready as an entrepreneur, ready and willing to move forward and start your business. So let's go through all 6. In this podcast, I'm giving you an overview of all 6, and then in the next 6 podcasts, we're going to go through each one individually to give you ideas about how you frame your own thoughts around these 6 words. So let's start with confidence. Many people want to start a business but are afraid. And the big issue, I think, is that people feel that they're just imposters. Like, you don't feel that you belong to the world of business and entrepreneurship because maybe nobody you know is doing it, or no one in the neighborhood's doing it, or something like that. And the thing about that is you already have business ideas in your head, or I'm assuming you either have business ideas in your head, or you're thinking you want to start a business, or you want to be an entrepreneur. That's why you're listening to the podcast, because something's there, right? So you already belong. You're already in the world of business and entrepreneurship. There's no imposter syndrome here because you've already got this going. Every type of person has started a business and runs one today. Every demographic, every ethnicity, every background, everything you can think of. There are examples of people who have started businesses everywhere in the world and who are running them today. And there are many different options, and there are many different approaches for doing it. And you've probably heard, these slick gurus online or whatever who are like, follow my way and you'll be successful because that's the only way to be successful. There's no one way. They're all saying that their idea is the only one, but there are just so many possibilities. But the common thread that people have is that they have certain personality competencies, which is one of the phrases that gets used. And it's not really even something that you have to be born with. You can develop it. So you can be you. You shy people can be entrepreneurs. People who have no idea when they get started can be entrepreneurs. People who like to party can be as well. You could do it with children. You could do it if you have multiple jobs. You could do it if you're a senior citizen. Like everyone. Okay. What it comes down to, though, is getting your mindset around those 6 words that I keep coming back to, starting with confidence. You just have to have the confidence to start. And once you do, you'll just amaze yourself with your ability to keep going and to actually get your business up and running. Because success goes to those who start and keep going. That's it. There's no secret sauce. You get started and you don't stop. So, it's that saying, what is it? I just have the saying on the top of my head. Either you succeed or you die trying, right? So that's what success means. And we'll cover more of that when we get to stop one in confidence. Time. So people like to say they do not have any time to start a business. Oh, they really want to start a business. Oh, I just want to start a business so badly. I don't have any time. And then I'll say something like, so how was Stranger Things? Did you enjoy it on Netflix? And you know what I'm talking about. If you could tell me what Stranger Things, if you even know what Stranger Things is without me having to explain it, if I didn't even have to say it's a show on Netflix, guess what? You have time to start your business because you're probably spending time doing other things that do not get you the future that you want. Watching a video, I mean, it can contribute to your future. I don't know, maybe you're going to come up with the next great Stranger Things type of show. But in general, if you've got a business idea around a product or service, sitting and watching the latest hit show on Netflix or anything is not going to get you the business that you want to start. Like, sure, it gets you a conversation with your colleagues at the water cooler, gets you online to chat about the show, all of which are a complete waste of time, right? You are not getting your business up and off the ground if you're sitting around talking about the latest hit show. If you spend the hour working on your business, that gets you one step closer to your freedom as an entrepreneur. So wouldn't you rather be one step closer instead of saying over and over again, I don't have any time? Now, if you love to procrastinate, and we all do, and you don't want to change any habits and you just want to have the business fall into your lap, then this tour is not for you. Okay? Take the other tour. Take the B group. This tour is for people who are ready and willing to make the effort. When you're traveling and you sign up for the tour and it will say something like challenging, well, so that's a warning to people who don't like to walk or don't like to climb hills. Just don't come, okay? But if you want to make the effort and you want to see yourself on that road to prosperity, on the road to your dream, then it's time to make the change. You have the time and you're going to find it. And we'll talk about that in the time episode. Money. So money and time challenges sort of come from the same force in many ways, because it's almost similar to the same people who say they don't have the money to start a business. The first question back is, I'm going to throw at you is, well, how much money do you need? And if you can't state that because you've actually never thought it through and you've never done any work on starting your business, so you actually have no idea, you just like to say you don't have any money, then again, you're not putting in the effort that's necessary, right? Because you have no idea if you have the money, especially in this day and age when so many services and products and resources are free. So if you actually spent the time to look at the business you want to develop and figured it out, what your action plan will be, and we'll talk about that in planning, then you might actually find the resources you need within the resources you already have. Basically, every business started with nothing, started small with nothing. So you could be doing the same if you stop saying that you don't have any money and you actually just get started. Okay, let's go beyond confidence, time, and money and get to the core, which is value. I want you to eliminate the first three obstacles early on. So you'll have your confidence, your time, and your money, because what you really want to focus on is what the value is that you are going to deliver to the global marketplace. Once you say, I'm confident I can get started, I've identified the time, I've identified the money, then we get into this most important activity. What is it you're going to do? When you start out as an entrepreneur and recognize you have business ideas in your head, you want to pick a product or service that you're planning to deliver to the global marketplace. That product or service is your value. That's the contribution to a better world. That's the improvement that you have identified that everyone needs. That's the progress that the economy will get from the work that you're doing. And I know that sounds, really corny and like, oh, what? I'm changing the world. But if you're changing one person's life, then you're changing the world. It's that, butterfly flaps wings in the forest thing. Okay, never mind. Whatever you're creating or distributing is something people need or want, right? You've identified a gap in the global marketplace. So you're moving that needle by being productive. Without people like you, there's, where would the world be, right? If there were not people who said, hey, there's a gap and I want to fill it. So you will want to identify that value that you deliver to the global marketplace. That's going to be the core of your entrepreneurship plan. And then you need action. You've overcome confidence, time, and money. You know what value you want to deliver, and now you need to take action. And action is, after value, the biggest word on this tour, because you have to take action. Nothing else, your ideas, your value, none of that's going to matter unless you take action, right? Because how else is anybody in the world going to find out about what you have to deliver? So, what is your plan? It's like when you're going on an overseas trip. You don't need to think of every single step that you're planning to take, but you certainly need a general idea of where you're going and what you like to do. So, in the beginning, when you're working on your business, it means figuring out your action plan. It means figuring out all your steps, not a business plan, not some administrative document that some investor wants to see. This is real action. This is day-to-day activity that you are going to do today, for 6 months, for a year, whatever it takes to get that business up and running. So you need to be able to understand the steps that you need to take to create your business, to distribute your product or service, to get your value out into the world. Action's a mighty word, and we want to use it wisely. So that's what we'll cover when we get to that episode. And then we're going to talk about the transition. Okay, so we've done confidence, time, and money. We've identified the value you want to deliver to the marketplace, and we've talked through your action plan. That's what we're going to do in the next few episodes, and then we'll get to the transition for you from wherever you are now to really being that entrepreneur. Now, some people might think, oh, shouldn't this be at the beginning that I want to think about, when I'm lying on a beach and living in a mansion? And I'm like, no, because we want you to get, first of all, everything else lined up first, okay? So if you get the confidence, you know you've got the time, you've identified money, you know what value you want to deliver, and you're pretty certain of the action plan, at least the initial overview, then we get to this idea of beginning with the end in mind. And we're going to do that at the end. So that begin with the end in mind is one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It comes from that famous best-selling book. It's absolutely critical to do this process with the end in mind, because what you want to be thinking about is you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be running your own business, but what really does that dream lifestyle look like to you? Is it really just about lying on the beach and living in a mansion? And you're like, yes, of course it is. Okay, fine. But at some point you got to work to get there, right? For a lot of people, you just want to walk away from your 9-to-5 job. It's really about being able to say, I don't need that weekly paycheck that I live off of, a bi-weekly paycheck, because I'm doing something bigger now. I'm doing my dream that I've always dreamed of, and now I'm able to make that pay, and I can live off that. And because I can live off that, I can live the life that I want, spending time with my family and my friends, traveling the world, reading every book I've always wanted to read, going to every movie I wanted to see, whatever it is, right? So as part of the overall process of getting stood up as an entrepreneur is to have this vision of what your transition to being that entrepreneur actually looks like. Go ahead and Google the house you've always wanted to buy, the dream house, and bookmark the page and have it ready. Look up the dates for that dream cruise to the Mediterranean you've always wanted to take. Just know when you're ready to go. So just as you develop a clear action plan for your business, develop a clear transition plan for yourself. What do you really want to get out of the work that you're doing now, so that when you're ready to leave, you just walk away? What does it really look like to move from the situation you are in now to living your entrepreneurial dream and the life you've always wanted? So those are your 6 words that we're going to cover in the next 6 episodes of the podcast: confidence, time, money, value, action, transition. At Ready Entrepreneur, I want to get you stood up, clear in your mind of exactly how you're going to approach these stops on our tour. A lot of people will talk to you about how do you start your online store, how do you sell widgets. I want to get you to the point where you're actually ready to listen to the answers to that question, because you've got everything else straight in your mind. So you're already going to be in a position to say, I have confidence, I have time, I have money. That's not an issue. I know the value I want to deliver to the global marketplace. I've set to develop my action plan. I just need to fill in a few boxes, and I've envisioned my life dream and the transition I'll make from where I am now. And it may sound like that's still a lot of questions to be answered, and it's kind of overwhelming, even though I keep giving you just 6 words. But you're thinking, wow, that's a lot of initial steps to get moving, to move forward. But when you think about how there's general encouragement out there in the world for people to become entrepreneurs, we look at why people don't become entrepreneurs, and usually it comes down to things like Education, they don't know how to do it. Financing, they can't find the money. Market access, they can't get into the market. They're afraid of failure. There's administrative delays with paperwork, whatever, right? There's so many reasons why people don't get started. That all sounds familiar. So what I want to do is focus you over those hurdles so that you are exactly where you want to be when you get closer to actually deciding what your value is, what your idea is, what the business is, and you want to go ahead and build it. Your mindset is already ready because you've gone through the 6 stops. In my book, Life Dreams, 7 Universal Moves to Get the Life You Want Through Entrepreneurship, I begin in step 1 by saying, make a decision to get started. So you may have done just that. That's why you're listening to this podcast. So thank you, and thank yourself, because that's the very first move in making the transition, is you just that first decision to get started. And in the next few episodes, we're going to go through all 6 steps and give you the background on why you need to identify your position on confidence, time, money, value, action, and transition, so that you can be stood up as an entrepreneur on your way to achieving your goals. All right, the tour has begun. This was episode 30 of the Ready Entrepreneur podcast, the introduction to the Ready Entrepreneur Tour, which is a special 7-part series going forward, 6 more episodes to go, where I'm going to go through all of the 6 stops on the tour that I've mentioned in this overview. Remember, if you have business ideas in your head, you know you are an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, now is the best time in history to get started. You can actively participate in the high-tech global marketplace, deliver values to consumers who want or need the product or service that you have identified. But the number one decision to make, if you're still a wantrepreneur, is just to get started on your own business. Once you've made that decision, you'll find yourself operating in this broad, exciting world of the global economy with plenty of tools and resources to support you, starting right here at Ready Entrepreneur. So you are all set to move forward. You can be efficient, you can be consistent, you can be persistent, and start your business today. This has been episode 30 of the Ready Entrepreneur podcast. This is the introduction to the Ready Entrepreneur Tour, a special series to get you ready to be the entrepreneur that you've always wanted to be. If you want to learn more, keep up with the Ready Entrepreneur world, read blogs for aspiring entrepreneurs, access training, download PDFs, find resources, and sign up for the mailing list. You can do it all. You get tips and strategies and ideas. There's giveaways, there's other cool stuff at readyentrepreneur.com. Okay, readyentrepreneur.com. readyentrepreneur.com. Let me know questions and topics that you might want to have covered on the podcast. If there's things that are sort of top of mind that you don't think I'm covering, email me, contactcase@readyentrepreneur.com. contactcase@readyentrepreneur.com. Thanks so much for listening. This has been the Ready Entrepreneur podcast with Case Lane.